All right, Capricorn, welcome to your mid-December 2020 horoscope and taroscope. I'm Ryan with Arrows of Love. Welcome back to my channel. And today is a very special reading for you, Capricorn, because it's graduation day. Saturn and Jupiter have finally moved out of Capricorn and into Aquarius. So for you, this is a point of attainment and culmination. It's graduation day. Congratulations, Capricorn. You've gone through the ringer more so than any other sign in the zodiac. So today I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson about Capricorn. We're going to talk about the glyphs. We're going to talk about the symbols within the tarot, the Greek mythology. And then I'm going to do a little bit of a different reading for you because as you see, there is a point of spiritual awakening for all Capricorns as of basically now. So Capricorn, Saturn entered your sign back in December 2017. It stayed there for 3 years. Saturn is your ruling planet, and it's been making some significant changes to your life over the last 3 years. So start thinking about what was going on in December 2017 and that long 3 years, especially in 2020 when things got real crusty, right, with the pandemic. And reassessing relationships. This is a definite relationship year for you, Capricorn, and we're going to get into that today. Full disclosure, I have 4 planets in Capricorn, so I know this transit very well and intimately. I have my Sun, Venus, Mercury, and Neptune all in Capricorn. So for me, today I'm wearing all black because I'm mourning the death of my old self. This is a point of culmination where I'm now coming into my own, my personal new path, and I'm looking back on the last 3 years and how much I've grown. So it's a little bit of a mourning period, but also a great time to celebrate. I even woke up the other day and just feeling a lot lighter. So I'm sure you have too. Things are going to start to turn around slowly but surely for you, Capricorn, because Saturn just drags. Saturn is restrictions, Saturn is lays, Saturn is life lessons and karma. And sitting in your first house, it's a complete personal transformation. So Saturn's finally out. It's at the very first minutes of Aquarius in your second house. And as of today, Jupiter has moved out of Capricorn as well. It's in the very first minutes of Aquarius also. So that's your second house. And we're going to talk about the astrology and what's going on in December. But there's some bigger things for you, Capricorn, that you need to understand because I want to start drawing some very important connections about what the last 3 years were really all about. All right. So the Great Conjunction, you've heard a lot about this. I have a separate video that I created earlier this week. You can go into my video list and take a look at it. I go into the history of Capricorn and Aquarius, some of the mythology, but I'm going to repeat a little bit of it today because it's going to be instructive for where we're going in 2021. There are several symbols of Capricorn, and astrologers like to divide up each sign into 3 decans, which are associated with the degrees of your sign, of that particular sign. So the first degrees, the first decan, are 0 degrees of Capricorn to 9 degrees. The second decan is 10 degrees to 19 degrees. And then the third decan is 21 degrees to 29 degrees. So Saturn and Jupiter have been in that third decan, a point of culmination and attainment for the last 6 months or so. There's been some retrograde motion, but they've been sitting in that 2025 mark pretty much the later half of 2020. So let's talk about some of the symbols. We often hear Capricorn associated with the mountain goat, climbing up the mountain of success and attainment, material success, to eventually come down the mountain, descend the mountain into the waters of spirituality. So there's some really great symbolism here. Capricorn is an ancient sign. It's been written about in history books and ancient texts going back to Mesopotamia. So it's been studied by the human race pretty much since the dawn of time. So this is an ancient sign. So when people say you are an old soul, you are in fact an old soul, Capricorn. So let's talk a little bit about the symbols. So the first degrees of Capricorn, the first degrees of any sign is the beginning. You're getting used to the flavor of the particular sign. It tends to be a little bit of a debased animation of what the sign eventually becomes when it moves into that 20 to 29 degrees of that sign. So for you, Capricorn, 0 to 9 degrees is often symbolized by the crocodile. So I'm going to read to you a little bit of a passage about symbolic astrology, and I want you to take in the flavor of what this all means. So 0 to 9 is associated with the crocodile. 10 degrees to 19 degrees is associated with the sea goat, the mountain goat, and then 20 to 29 degrees is associated with the unicorn. So to give you a flavor, I'm gonna read a little bit to you and take this in. We're gonna start with the goat because that's often what Capricorn is depicted as. It's the god Pan. You can go and take a look at my video. I talk a little bit about Pan. It is a god in and of itself, Capricorn. Take that for what it is. But we're going to start with the goat because that's often what people refer to as Capricorn. So the goat is one of the earthliest animals imaginable and is a perfect symbol for the material earthbound aspect of Capricorn. In nature, goats live in the most rugged, inhospitable terrain on Earth. They are masters of survival. They can climb some of the sheerest inclinations and rocky landscapes with sure-footed certainty. And they have the most hardy digestive system, which means they can eat practically anything they find on the way. This conjures up images of the yogi in the lion cloth living in a mountain cave for years, surviving only on light, fresh air, and a couple of grains of rice once a week. It speaks to Capricorn's ability to master physical resources while keeping their attention on the higher spiritual purpose. The goat symbolizes Capricorn as a survivor. In nature, crocodiles, so this is the first deacon, are masters of conserving energy. They're often mistaken for logs, which is part of their success as predators. Unlike most predators, crocodiles do not chase their prey. They are more inclined to lie in wait until an unsuspecting zebra comes too close. Then they will suddenly spring into action, clutching their target in their jaws and dragging them under the water. Again, notice the symbolism with water here. Here are more Capricornian qualities in action: patience, timing, the ability to remain focused, and precision. Rarely do Capricorns waste anything, especially time, energy, and money. The symbolism of the crocodile reflects Capricorn's mastery of the physical resources. Capricorn, you are an earth sign. You are the physical manifestation of stardust. We'll get more into that. In addition to the goat and the crocodile, Capricorn is also associated with two mythological creatures, the unicorn and the sea goat. This is referring to the third decan, those degrees that are 20 to 29 of Capricorn. In some spiritual traditions, the unicorn is seen as a symbol of spiritual realization. In the myth of the lion and the unicorn, the lion represents the ego, while the unicorn represents our spiritual nature. The lion, or the ego, is defeated when it is pierced through the heart by the horn of the unicorn, spiritual awareness. So the unicorn represents the higher, more spiritually aware aspect of Capricorn. So when you start thinking about Capricorn and its different meanings, you progress, you start out as the crocodile, perhaps a little bit scary animal. We've seen Capricorns do this before. We can be very sharp with our words, right? And you progress through it. So you start out at that low level within the earth. You come out, or within the water. You come out of the water as the goat. And you start ascending that mountain like the yogi. And we're going to talk about the hermit card in the tarot. And there at the top of the mountain, you face your fears. And that is the ultimate test of Capricorn, is facing your fears, facing who you actually are, which is a spiritual being. And through that, you find the star, right? And the star is located within the hermit's lantern, and he descends back down into the mountain, or back down the mountain into the waters of spirituality. There are two signs that have this ability to live both on land and in the ocean. Cancer, symbolized by the crab, and Capricorn, our sea goat. There's something deeply symbolic about this, which could be about our ability to incarnate from spirit into matter and then return to spirit. As I was saying, from stardust to physical manifestation, back to stardust. In many spiritual traditions, the ocean is used as a metaphor to represent the Great Spirit, or void from which all matter and life forms arise. This indicates a deep connection that Capricorn has to both the physical realm and our deeper spiritual nature. So I think this beautifully summarizes what Capricorn's life journey is all about. It starts at the crocodile and you progress to this spiritual awakening of the unicorn. Let's talk a little bit more. So let's think about that again. Let's review that. So Saturn and Jupiter have been sitting at those last degrees. It has been pushing you, Capricorn, to reach this point of spiritual enlightenment so you can arise as the yogi and now move into Aquarius, which is also a demigod. It's associated with Ganymede, the water bear. He feeds the gods. Humanity was created in God's likeness. Hence, Ganymede feeds humanity as the water bear. So there's some interesting connotations with that as well. And I don't want to get too much into it, but you can see where this is all going, right? There is this godlike quality about Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, all associated with water and spirit, transcendence. But it starts with Capricorn. You are the initiate. And what that means is essentially you have to make your way up the mountain. You have to reach those levels of attainment and achievement so you can experience and face your fears at the top of the mountain. And it can be quite lonely and isolated at the top, right? Where you eventually descend back down. So there's some really beautiful symbolic imagery that goes with this. And I'm going to show you some of the tarot cards, but I want to keep talking a little bit more about the initiate. And this comes from Saturn, right? So Saturn is the last visible planet to the naked eye. And for thousands of years, the ancients and in civilizations just assumed that's where the planets stopped before Neptune, Uranus, and Pluto were discovered. And then in astrology, you have modern rulers and ancient rulers, but Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. And Saturn has the rings. Saturn has this beautiful glow, and it's the furthest planet that we can see in our solar system. So it's considered to be the dweller at the threshold. It's karma and it's time. It makes its way slowly around the sun. It takes 27 and a half years for it to make its way around the sun, inching slowly and carefully examining each area of life to ensure that we are taking responsibility, we have discipline, and we are now reaching that point of attainment in each area. It is karma, and Capricorn, you know karma better than anybody. So you don't want to create karmic loops for that very reason. It's instilled in your genes and in your being to not create karmic loops, because you understand that if you send out that energy, it hits you in particular 3 times as hard when it comes back. So it's the initiate. It's where it starts. Your spiritual awakening starts in Capricorn by facing the dweller at the threshold, which is Saturn, sitting very far out in our solar system, barely visible sometimes, but slowly making its way around to do its examination of Earth. There's some interesting things about Capricorn or Saturn as well. If you haven't ever studied Saturn just as a physical being, there is a pentagram on top of Saturn. It kind of looks like a crown. Saturn is the king of the physical world. In Greek mythology, Uranus was the sky god. He was son and husband of Gaia, Mother Earth. And Capricorn is the first generation, Saturn is the first generation of Titans that came from Uranus and Gaia. Saturn rose to power. He eventually overthrew Uranus, who is his father, castrated him and tossed him aside. So now Saturn in Greek mythology is the lord of the physical realm. Saturn threw Uranus' genitals into the sea, from which there was white foam that sprang, and through that emerged Venus, or Aphrodite. And this is important, right? So, and this is the reason why. If you track Venus's injunctions with the sun, if you track Venus's inferior conjunctions to the sun for consecutive 5 years at the different points, they make a pentagram. So there is connection between Venus, Saturn, and Uranus. So the pentagram is important. The pentagram sits on top of Saturn. It's like a crown. He is the king. And through Uranus's genitals being thrown into the sea sprang Venus, god of love, who makes these conjunctions to the sun every 5 years, which make a pentagram. Why is this all important? Let's take a look at the tarot. This is the yogi. This is you, Capricorn, making your way to the top of the mountain. Spiritual attainment, material attainment. You're great with resources. You are the cardinal sign of Earth. You are the master of this physical realm. You can manifest anything. You are essentially a god in and of yourself. Don't take that too much to your ego, okay? Because you're supposed to pierce the ego, right? The story of the lion and the unicorn. So, but the god Pan is a mythological creature, which is the sea goat, right? So you are the only sign, except for Aquarius, the water bear, which you're represented by essentially a god. So as you climb up the material realm to the very top, which you are at the top of the zodiacal wheel, by the way, at the 10th house, you go in deep, you face your fears, you meet the dweller at the threshold, and you see it for what it really is. And through that, the star is lit within the lantern of the yogi, and he descends back down the mountain. Where he enters the Aquarius constellation. The star is associated with Aquarius. And look at this. It's the water bearer. It's Ganymede. Ganymede was coveted by Zeus. He was a Trojan prince. Zeus swept down as an eagle, swept him away, brought him back to Mount Olympus, where he became the water bearer of the gods. 1 foot in the water, symbolic of spirituality. Ganymede became a demigod. The 11th house, which is Aquarius, is to wish upon a star. It's hopes, wishes, and dreams. What do you want to create in this physical realm after you reach spiritual enlightenment? The devil is also associated with Capricorn. And look at the very top here. What is at the very top? A pentagram. The deeper meaning of the devil, which the lovers are sitting here too, is to break the chains that bind you, to face your fears, so you can transcend into a spiritual being. The chains attached to the lovers are quite loose. And the symbolism here is that at any point in time, the lovers can break the chains that bind them to transcend into the star. Now, the tower actually falls in between here. So depending on your own life circumstances, we all have tower moments in our time. It's unavoidable. It's things that are not built on solid foundation, and the universe basically just takes it out of your life so you can be rebuilt. So once you break the chains that bind, the foundations that you built up a false identity are gone. And now you're free to be who you really are. Those are some of the symbolisms of Capricorn. It's its journey up the mountain to come back down the mountain into the waters of spirituality. All right, so now that you have a little bit of a background about Capricorn and what it's all about and where this is all going, you can now see that this last 3 years have been all about clearing out the karma, clearing out that which does not work for you. This has all been about, this entire year of 2020, for you Capricorn in particular, has been about partnerships, one-on-one relationships. Which ones bring you to that point of enlightenment and spirituality and which ones don't? And I guarantee that most of you have a Cancer or a Pisces in your life that are helping you achieve that goal. There's always this connotation that, Capricorn doesn't have, they're very unemotional. That couldn't be further from the truth. Capricorn is one of the most sensitive signs in the zodiac. They keep their emotions to themselves, though. It's out of fear. It's a defense mechanism so we can remain strong, right? But Cancer and Pisces help bring out that emotional side of you. Cancer is ruled by the moon. It's very intuitive. Pisces is ruled by Neptune, and also intuitive sign. It's to bring out the intuitive self. It's to open up the third eye chakra so you can listen to God and speak his word. You are God, Capricorn. Let's also talk about some of the fixed stars. I'm going to do a little bit of a different reading for you this time. I'm not going to pull cards for the tarot. I'm actually going to pull cards from this new deck that I got. It's the Starseed Oracle deck. And for those of you that don't know what a starseed is, you can do some reading on that, but the brief description is essentially this. Those that are called to a higher purpose are usually starseeds. Your body has incarnated here as a human, but your soul is from somewhere else. And you can read a little bit more on that. But if you have been called to this channel, and if you're listening to this channel, you very well might be a starseed. You are here to raise the vibration of Earth. We are moving into, some astrologers think, the age of Aquarius. We are leaving the time of Earth with these conjunctions of Saturn and Jupiter that have been happening in the Earth signs for the last 200 years, and we're now moving into the air sign era. Some people call it the age of Aquarius. You can make that judgment for yourself, but to me, that is symbolic of something quite different, where Capricorn, you are now part of the new reality. You are here to raise the vibration and to help people heal their wounds and help them find their soul mission and to complete their soul mission. That is what a starseed is all about. And I think many of you that are probably watching this today or over the next coming weeks might be starseeds. So we're going to pull some of these cards. We're going to talk a little bit about the fixed stars, because fixed stars are where our souls come from. If you're a starseed and you just incarnate here to help humanity. So some of the fixed stars in Capricorn, the constellation, the Vega star. It's one of the brightest stars in our entire solar system, entire universe. It has a bluish white glow. The bluish glow is associated with the third eye chakra, opening up the chakra to listen to God and the universe and what messages are coming through. It's the unicorn, it's the third decan of Capricorn. There's also the Ring Nebula. So the Ring Nebula, M57, is essentially the remnants of a massive supernova. And if you ever take a look at it, it's absolutely gorgeous. And it's sitting at 20 degrees of Capricorn. So if you have any planets or points sitting at 20 degrees, the Ring Nebula is meant to be kind of a doorway to the next realm. It's kind of like the metaphor of the dweller of the threshold. You get to the threshold. After the threshold and you face your fears, you're now a part of something much larger than yourself in this realm, right? Things unseen. spirituality, the ethereal. The ring nebula is the doorway. It's symbolic of the doorway. I'm assuming many of you are having some realizations right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull 5 cards from the Starseed Oracle deck. The first card is going to be your soul gift. This is the gift you have to share with the world, Capricorn. The second card is going to be your karmic wound. This is what you came back. This is why you incarnated back on this earth, to heal. You're an old soul. You've gone through many, many lifetimes to reach the point of Capricorn. Not everyone can get to this point. It's a hard point to get to. It's at the top of the zodiacal wheel. To reach the top, you got to claw your way through. You got to learn your lessons, and you're going to get hit time and time again. It's the karmic wound. The third card is about life lessons, what it is you came here to learn. The fourth card is going to be your current obstacle. And then the fifth is going to be your soul challenge. So this goes back to soul calling. So I'm going to shuffle these cards for a little bit. The meanings are going to be a little bit different. So I'm going to read a little bit from the book that came with this particular deck. It's a gorgeous deck. The images on here are spectacular. I oftentimes sit and stare at them just because they're kind of breathtaking. So let's do your Starseed activation reading, Capricorn, and why you're here. The first card is your soul gift. I'm not doing this for the other signs, by the way. Just you, because it's graduation day. Saturn's out, Jupiter's out. The sun, however, is going to make its way through Capricorn, entering on December 21st. It's going to be there for about 4 weeks or so. And it's kind of like a review of the last year, right? And then on the 30th, by the way, there is a Cancer full moon. 2020 started with a Cancer full moon, and it's ending with a Cancer full moon. Cancer is 7 signs past Capricorn. The 7th house is partnerships, marriage, legal contracts, one-on-one relationships. This entire year has been about you reviewing your relationships, Capricorn. Who is worthy and who is not? This is self-worth. Who gets to be in your presence? Who gets the gifts of Capricorn? And I have a feeling that many of you have been making changes on that front. All right, so here we go, Capricorn, your soul gift. Cracked open, I love this. Rock bottom, surrender to the alchemy of life. The alchemy of life. This is why you've incarnated on this earth, right? Let me read you a little bit about the description here so you can get a flavor of what this is really all about. I love this is cracked open, right? Because I feel like Saturn, sitting in our sign for the last 3 years, we've been cracked open. We've been examined very, very closely by the Lord of Time and Karma. So let me read a little bit about what this is about. It's called Cracked Open, Rock Bottom, Surrender to the Alchemy of Life. Don't let the weight and destiny of the world quash your tender spirit. Instead, let it call even more of it home into your body. At the center front of your life, it's through the extreme pressure of life's trials that diamonds are cultivated. It's when things are at their darkest that we cultivate proper faith and our light is ignited. It's through the crumbling that we can allow our wounds to be alchemized. Let your pain, sorrow, and losses make you, not break you. Let life alchemize your tragedies into gold. Be open to being cracked open, wide open. It's the difficult times that help us grow in leaps and bounds, and in ways we could only dream where possible. But first, they have to crack us open. Sometimes it hurts like hell. It's nature's way. Whether you let it happen or not, it's going to happen. So surrender to the process. It's how the light gets in. When your heart cracks open, a space is created for your soul to more fully enter. When your soul cracks open, a space is created for the grace of the Holy Spirit to enter. Let your trials, your sorrows, your pains, and your losses transform you into more and more of yourself. Stay open to the possibility that your tragedies, losses, your sorrows, and your hurt happen for you, not to you. Bless the things that broke you down and cracked you open, because the world needs you open. Surrender to the alchemy of life. That is beautiful. Saturn cracked us open. We see the light. Capricorns have to go through more trials and tribulations than any other sign, because you have sheer determination to reach the top of the mountain. And once you get there, you realize what it was really all about. What all that suffering and pain was all about. To let in the light and to alchemize your pain into gold. I love that. All right, so that is your soul gift. This is why you are here, to go through this process called life, to go through the Capricorn journey from the crocodile to the sea goat to the unicorn. All right, your second card is your karmic wound. This is why you came here to heal. Why you're here to heal. All right, so you have forge, don't follow. Pave a new path, be the leader you wish you had. Look at how beautiful that is. These cards are just awesome. Capricorn, you are a cardinal sign of Earth. You are the highest vibration of the Earth signs. You are a leader. You don't follow. And you're supposed to be different than everyone else too. So this whole, you need to fit in. You make the new reality. People follow you, not the other way around. Let me read you a little bit more about forge, don't follow. If you wait until the path is perfectly paved, you won't be forging your own path, and you will likely not even take the first step. Don't let the small detail, like being unable to find someone to show you the way, be the reason you don't step forward and lead. Let it be the reason that you do. The most courageous and needed leaders are the ones that don't wait for permission. You don't wait for permission, Capricorn. Or until the morning they wake up feeling ready. They take a deep breath, put one foot in front of the other, and figure it out as they go. They don't wait for someone to lead them. They lead themselves. This is a card for leaders. You're here to pave the path that hasn't been walked before, to go first and lead the way for others who are calling you in. If you feel misrepresented in the media, step forward for all those who also feel misrepresented. If no one's speaking out at the topics you feel passionate about, share your unique voice. There's no one on earth who comes close to possessing your unique combination of skills, gifts, and life experience, Capricorn. Don't look to those who have come before you to work out your path. Leaders must forge their own. Do it for your daughter. Do it for your younger you. Do it for the leaders who will follow. When you go first, you make it easier for others to follow your lead. Forge, don't follow. This is your karmic wound. This is what you have come here to heal. You are not here to follow. You are here to show us the way. What does this new reality look like in the 11th house of Aquarius? It is the new future. It is ruled by Uranus. And there's great symbolism between Uranus and Capricorn. By the way, Capricorn also co-rules the 11th house of Aquarius. So this is your time. This is what you came here to heal. Be the leader, don't follow. Your life lesson. This is card number 3. The weight of the world. Boundaries. Let it go. It's not yours to carry. Look at that card. Stunning, right? Just because you're a leader doesn't mean you have to carry everyone's problems, Capricorn. We know how you like to fix things, but people got to figure out their own too. All right, weight of the world, Capricorn. You don't need to carry it all. You're no good to anyone if you're running on empty and bogged down by the weight of the world. This card is a reminder to look after your own well-being before anyone else's, to stop carrying the world's problems on your shoulders, to put on your own oxygen mask first, symbolic of COVID. In these changing times, it's hard not to feel overwhelmed by the state of the planet. However, you can't take on its problems from a place of energetic depletion. This card is thanking you for caring so much. You want to build a better world and ease the road for others, and that's incredible. But the way you've been doing so is likely unsustainable. This isn't to say you should switch off to the world's problems and become unconscious. Rather, it's a call to establish clear boundaries so you're not constantly taken out energetically. The planet needs you to be healthy, both physically and emotionally. So, instead of digesting the news or reaching for your phone as soon as you wake up, show up first to the nurturing practice such as meditation, soul inquiry, deep breathing, or exercising in nature. Once you're in a state of grace and your inner well is full, you can face the day, the state of the world, and care for others. And at the day's end, take the energetic shower by emptying out anything that's not yours to carry. You can pick it up again the next morning, if you so choose, but give yourself time and space to rejuvenate and rest. I love this. Capricorn, you're very intuitive. This is part of your nature, and you can have this tendency to take on the energy of other people. And sometimes that comes out as projecting onto others. Be sure you keep your third eye well protected. It's good to listen to other people, to help people out, but first and foremost, you have to take care of you so you can eventually take care of others. That is your life lesson. Current obstacle, fourth card. Karmic relationships, Orion energy, polarity, soul growth, conflict. Bringing in the new reality will not be easy. The status quo and the old order will not give up power easily. You're here to show us the way, Capricorn. Karmic relationships. You know all about karma. Saturn is karma. If you haven't been clearing out karma over the last 3 years, you know what's going to happen. But Capricorn, I don't have to tell you this because you already know all of it. It's deeply embedded within your being. Karmic relationships. I love how the cards just seamlessly come out like this sometimes because it really does bring home the point, doesn't it? All right. The constellation of Orion is thought by many to have been a place of great polarity and eventual unity. Some believe that many starseeds who are part of the cosmic history are incarnate on Earth now and are playing out karmic relationships from Orion times. Perhaps you're one of them. Polarity causes conflict and highlights separation. However, because of this, conflict can also result in unity and growth. Too many misunderstandings are caused when you don't open up your heart, our heart and mind, and see things from a different point of view. When we go into reactive second-guessing mode, instead of gathering the courage to open our heart, we should admit that we may have reacted because of our own woundings and then find mutual ground. We're all innocent children looking to be seen, understood, and cherished. It's much harder to grow closer through conflict than it is to grow further apart. And yet, that's the invitation of conflict. It's easy to react and take things personally. It's more challenging to see the innocence of all involved and find a way to grow closer through the conflict. It's through relationships that we grow the most. How can you soften your heart and drop your defenses enough to see things from a different point of view? How can you see the innocence of all involved? How can you learn to see the similarities rather than the differences? Again, this is all about relationships. 2020 has been all about relationships. The Cancer full moons start us off in January of 2020, and they end us in December of 2020. Who's on your soul tribe, Capricorn? I bet you know. This is your current obstacle. Clearing out those karmic relationships. Saturn's now moving out of Capricorn. All right, the last one. This is your soul calling. This is why you're here. Earth pulsing. Pulse of Mother Earth, slow down, time in nature. Look at that card. That's stunning. Your soul calling. This has been a great reading. I love this. I love this deck. Let's take a look here. All right, Earth pulsing, soul calling. A mysterious pulse is woven through all of life. The planet itself has a rhythm. You can see it in the seasons and the tides. In our world of artificial lighting, long working hours, and modern conveniences, it's easy for us to feel stuck and off kilter. It's time to reconnect with nature and surrender to the pulse of the earth. Earth pulsing, the writers say, is my favorite tool for surrendering to the rhythmic pulse of the mother, Gaia, and the entire universe. Today, many of us are disconnected from the land beneath us. Land, Earth, Capricorn. Somewhere along the way, a severing happened. A moment when it became too painful to stay connected. We feel unsupported, as if we don't belong. We look to other people and the external world to fill the void of the connection, holding and belonging once given to us by the earth, taking, clutching, conquering. Longing for others to receive us fully, as the mother once did. Forgetting that she'll still be there, waiting for us to remember and activate the part of us that longs to receive her embrace. When you consciously connect with the earth, a veil is lifted and she opens up and receives you more fully. You're able to drink from her sweet waters and release what no longer serves you. Stagnant energy falls away and you become connected to all things on the planet. That is your soul calling. And if that doesn't sum up what we just talked about for about the last 43 minutes, I don't know what will. It is, it's a beautiful reading. You're being activated. Remember, you are an earth child. You are the supreme earth child. You came from the constellation out of Capricorn. And in Vedic and sidereal, it's called the cramped constellation. It's very small. Only very few people that incarnate as Capricorns can handle it because you have reached that point of attainment, Capricorn. Remember where you came from. The rhythms of the earth, the tide, emotion, intuition. Where is it calling you, Capricorn? The new age is waiting for you. Be the leader. Fix your karmic relationships. Forge your own way. Remember, you don't have to carry the weight of the world. You have to take care of yourself first in order to help others. But first, you got to be cracked open. which is exactly what Saturn has been doing over the last 3 years, cracking you open for a very close examination to get rid of that which does not serve your highest purpose, so you can reach the point of enlightenment. The yogi with the star in his lantern to now become the star, to become the demigod. And here is when new beginnings happen, Capricorn. What are you going to manifest over the next year? Where are you going? How are you going to be the star in your own story? That's the question. If this reading resonated with you and you want to hear more about starseeds, and if you believe you might be a starseed, if you've been getting dreams, if you're having psychic visions, psychic downloads, perhaps it's time to have your starseed activation. This is for all my Capricorns watching, but if you yourself want to have a starseed activation reading and go further into the fixed stars, be sure you check out my email below. We'll set up a time to talk. Capricorn, this is the new you. This is your time. What are you going to do with it? Where are you going to go? It's time for you to lead. It's time for you to recognize those karmic relationships, those that stay and those that don't. And then you have to return to Earth. You are an Earth child. If you've enjoyed this reading, please subscribe, click that like button. We are going to discuss 2021 in more detail in the coming weeks. But Capricorn, happy graduation. You've earned it. It's been a trying 3 years. But now it's time to reap those rewards. Best of luck. We'll talk to you next time.